I come in here, I name it, now I share it with whoever I want. You can share that with me and say, hey, Peter, when you get a chance, could you help me out? Here's the issue I'm having, or send me a video and say, whatever the case is. This is a very, very big tool to figure out what's going on in your market. How do we find those people if you don't know them already? Pretty cool, actually. It's not that hard to do. There's a couple different ways to do it. One of the tried and true old methods, and I still include this, even though, say what you say about the company, is looking in Zillow and looking at recent sales. Now, the problem in some areas, and this was Alex's problem, is he said, okay, well, how do I do that when this is a non-disclosure area where you're not getting the previous sale amounts, right? So you're going to get some listings here, by the way, Alec, you can go off some of the listing information, but yeah, you don't have the sale information here. Well, it doesn't really matter. We just need some kind of relative value piece to go off of. So whether you have that or whether you don't, it's just a different kind of field you're going to reference, right? The question still becomes not about whether that information is there or not. The question becomes, in something like this, if you're using a Zillow tool, is what you're doing is you're looking for areas. And guys, I did the last sale in the last 6 months. You can narrow this down too, because obviously we're at a crazy time right now, but you're essentially looking for areas where properties that haven't been upgraded are selling. So this is upgraded, right? This is MLS, looks like an MLS sale, upgraded, owner op. What you're looking for is something that looks like the shitty quality before you get that, right? Because that you could sell to a flipper. So as you poke around in the pictures, you can find that stuff, but that's really cumbersome to really find that on a larger scale, right? So here's a real easy thing. I'm going to show you guys something really quickly. So Alec gave me his zip. So basically what he was targeting was these zip codes initially. How many did you give me here? 2, 3, so 6. So you had a list of 6. Alec, real quick, are any of these the ones we got rid of? No, right? These are the good ones? Yeah, these are good ones. Okay. So that's a lot of properties in here. Let's go ahead and apply, some of the stuff that we've looked at before, like hidden equity, owner occupied, right? So just to narrow it down, really more about, let's get to the SFRs and the quads. Can you guys see this okay? My window here about, that's in direct skip, and I'm doing this property search. Yes, okay. All right, so I'm applying this predefined filter list for those of you who can't see it, SFH to quad, hidden equity, owner occupied. Really, I'm just trying to, because the set's so big when I go to those zip codes, I'm just trying to narrow it down. So by applying that, I get down to 3,174, okay? This is really specific looking at ownership. So I'm not gonna look at this one, but what I'm trying to do is just get to a smaller set. So it gives me an idea, like 3,000-ish properties in that list, okay? So normally you would just go for that because that's a list that's like, all right, cool, I can market to that. That's basically a week for most of you guys, right? If you're texting. What we're trying to do here is really figure out inside of those zips, like, are they still hot? Are their properties moving, right? Is this an area I really want to target? So what we're going to do is for those zip codes, all I'm going to do is look at cash buyers last year. This is the list we have. Oh, I'm sorry, guys, that's wrong. Corporate buyers last year. This is the one we've used over the last couple of weeks that I've shown you guys, right? So we used it last week to reach out to buyers. That's what Alec was talking about earlier through the messaging, that he got five active buyers from this list. He just targeted one single zip code. So what happened was Alec, from the last couple of weeks, he looked at this, applied the zip codes, pulled the list, and it's 1,900. And he's like, it's too many, right? It's too big of a list to pull down and call everybody through. So we actually hopped in here and just downloaded the list. And guys, there's a reason why Alec, hot zips, corp. And if you guys notice here, just a little tip for you, I always name this stuff something descriptive. So later on, it makes sense when you go pull the files, because they're going to be sitting on your computer with weird names if you don't. So we do that. There's my property download. Okay, so here's the property list. Give me a second. I got to kind of share a different view with you guys. Okay, let me screen share. Okay, can you see now my Excel file? Yes, okay, cool. Okay, so here's that list. This is same thing we've done over the last couple of weeks, right? Where I just pulled down all the buyers, okay? First thing always, when you guys pull down these Excel lists, a little quick Excel tips for you here. If you're using Excel or you're using Google Sheets, this is going to be the same thing. What do you guys use mostly? Just like, we'll make this easy. What do you guys use mostly, Google Sheets or Excel? Or you don't care? Let me just show you guys in Google Sheets, because then it won't matter, right? So I have this download file. I'm just going to go back to the original one. So, oops. One sec, guys. I got to get you back in this other screen. Share screen. Where are we? Direct skip. Okay. So, same thing in Sheets and in Excel, guys. So I'm just going to go bring it into Sheets. Yeah, Sheets is, I like Sheets for a lot of this stuff. So, new spreadsheet. I'm just going to import that file I downloaded from Direct Skip. Upload, select. And guys, just, you got to hop in here. This is the stuff you got to hop in here and just do, because as you start to do it, it's going to make a lot more sense. Replace spreadsheet, import data. Okay. So I'm just going to import this to a new spreadsheet in Google Sheets, just so it's easier for you guys to view. Right away, there's a couple things I always do when I do this. So, you guys can't see my keyboard, but I'm just doing Control A or Command A on a map, right? So it's going to select all. You have to do it twice to where these top and sidebars turn dark gray like that. You see that? So this is nothing selected, or just this one cell. Here's my first Control A. See how it all turns blue? And here's my second select all. So now that I'm selected all, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to go to Data, create a filter, Data, sort range, advanced range sorting. Okay, so this lets me sort it any which way I want. It has a header row, right? So remember the last couple of weeks, what we've done is on this file, we're going to sort by owner, one, last name, right? That's what we've been doing in order to start to see who are the big buyers, right? Here's one that's bought a bunch, okay? In this case, I'm going to do something a little bit different, okay? Let me show you guys. So again, I'm controlling A here. I'm just doing a little resize so you can see this stuff a little bit better. I'm going to open this up a little bit. Okay, so here's how we're going to do this time, guys. What we're going to do is a couple things. And you want to get used to, the reason I say you have to do this stuff is this will get used to exploring some of this from a data perspective that'll help you understand as wholesalers, like what to target. Where am I going to get the deals that I'm going to really be able to move? Okay, so here we have it, right? So here's it sorted by name. You can see ones that have a couple properties, et cetera. Okay, this is, again, guys, this is before we skip trace, right? We're just trying to figure out like what's one zip code I can target heavy to know that like that's where deals are moving. Okay, so because I created the filter here at the top, you see all these little, and if you guys have done this before, just tell me like, yeah, this is easy. If you're not catching this, tell me as well. So all these little filter icons next to these headers here, now we can filter down. So this is one of the best ways to see what's in. So we did 6 zip codes, right? So if you see this, here's all the 6 zip codes, okay? So what we're trying to determine right now is where is an area that has a lot of flip activity happening to where I can make money, right? So what does that mean? In terms of data points, when you guys hear that, what does that mean to you? Where's an area, where's the single zip code where I can make the most money as a wholesaler? Like in your head, what does that translate to that you can look to inside of this data, right? As we have in here, we have all this information on the property, what it sold for. You know, this is all stuff that sold recently, right? The sale price. See, in your case, Alec, we do have some sale price info. If it's got a mortgage on it, stuff like that, okay? So Jermaine says where the most sales are. Okay, so that's one of the data points we can look at, right? Quantity of sales is one. Tied to that, you could look at percentage, right? So how many have sold compared to the total homes in that zip code? It's an okay one to look at, but I don't like that as much. Does anybody know why? There's another one that we really want more because it determines more of your ability to make money as a wholesaler. So there's 2 ways to kind of go in this game, right? Volume, lots of volume of deals at a lower spread, or you try and get better spread. Like I'd set into a good medium volume at a higher spread, and you can do more that way. So he says, I do the other one as well. What's the other one, Jermaine? So really what I look at, guys, is a huge change in value in that zip code, right? What do you want to make the most money? You're putting a fee on a contract to sell it to a flipper that needs to put money into it, time, energy, money into it, to send it out, to flip it out to a market to make money, right? So your ability to make the most amount of money possible per deal only comes down to really one thing. In the market, where can I buy really low to where once the flipper sells, not you selling, but once the flipper sells, they can sell really high, right? You guys know it, buy low, sell high. The difference is you're sitting in the middle, buying in between, right? So you're trying to buy as low as possible so that the flipper can sell as high as possible. Does that make sense to you guys? Just general, real basic methodology here and what we're looking for. Okay, so because of that, I'm gonna take this list. Again, I'm gonna, Control A, sort. You guys are sending questions my way. Okay, hang on, let me get all this stuff. All right, guys, I love it. Okay, so again, guys, as you have questions along the way here, just pop it in the chat so I can just kind of follow along. Okay, so here's our list. In this case, what I'm gonna do is, real quick, guys, too, just a little Excel thing here. I forget to do it sometimes, but easy in Sheets. Select that first one, do View, Freeze, up to row 1. So that as you scroll down this list, it'll keep those headers there because you want to kind of explore it that way. The other thing I'm going to do is just, I'm going to hide some stuff here. Is that okay for you guys? So just so it's easier. And as well, guys, if you would, tell me, can you still read that? You guys watching this, what I'm doing on screen, can you still read that text okay? Yes, okay, cool. All right, perfect. Okay, so I already know this is owner occupied. These are all corporate, so I'm gonna get rid of a couple things here. I'm not worried about the mailing address. I'm gonna leave the mailing state just so we can do it. So I'm just gonna hide some stuff here. You guys can see what I'm doing. Zip code doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep a market total value. You're gonna see why in a second. I'm not gonna worry about these details, right? This is all in the file. You guys can explore this, but for this case, for what we're looking for, I'm not really worried about this stuff. I may look at a effective year build, right? To see if there's something in there that jumps out. So I'm gonna hide everything in between. I'm not worried about these pieces, but as you can see, guys, if you haven't downloaded these files and looked at that, there's a lot of additional information in here you may not even be looking at. So number of residential units through bathrooms and bedrooms, I'm not worried about. I'm gonna hide that. Last sale date, last sale price we wanna look at. The buyer name I wanna look at. The seller name I wanna look at, right? So see that stuff in there, guys. And then I'm gonna leave the mark. Okay, so the rest of this is fine. So we can just scroll over. Perfect, okay. All right, so now we get a pretty clean view where we can see this stuff a little bit more on one screen. Is this text still big for you guys? Can I shrink it down even more, you think? Let's try. This might be too small. That's too small for me. Okay, so let's just keep it here. All right, so this time, guys, I'm gonna do Control A again, right? Double select all, and I'm going to, again, sort range, advanced range sorting options. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna do this a couple different ways. So the first thing I'm gonna do is a real simple sort by, oops, I got too many in here. Sort by last sale price. So this one's gonna look a little weird in this area. For you guys, you'll have most of this information, but in this area, you're gonna see a lot of last sale price here, and then I think it's gonna drop off, right, Alec? Because we don't have that data for some of your zips. Yeah, so Alec has an area where some of his zips are non-disclosure, so that last sale date doesn't come through. But we have this market total value field. It's not gonna be the exact number, but it just gives us relative numbers. I'm gonna show you guys here in that in a second. So for this case, I'm actually gonna sort all this by that field instead. Right? You want to use the value field where you have values for everything. So we're going to use market total value. Okay. So as we sort by market total value here, again, this is all the zip codes that were in here. We're going to filter this down in a second. But as we sort it, we say, okay, what's the lowest we're seeing? Here's some really low stuff, right? We come into these areas, 11,000, 13,000, looks to be all the same zip code, 15,000. So immediately as I see this, I go, and Alec, did we cut this one out? 64132, or is that what you targeted? So immediately it looks like most of this low value stuff is in 64132, right? So what I'm going to do here is immediately I'm going to say, okay, because it's so dominant in the low value stuff, let's see 64132. Let's see what just that zip code looks like. So did you guys catch that? I'm using this filter up here, clicking that little filter button, I'm going to clear all the checks, and I'm just going to select 64132. And that's going to just show me this properties in that zip. So again, here's all the low ones. Now the question becomes, what's the high one? So then we have a couple high ones. Okay, so real quick here, guys, as you see this, from 11,000 or whatever it was to 248, you got to be careful on some of these, because sometimes this will be a package price that'll appear in here across multiple properties. So whatever the case is, I kind of ignore the top end, like a 648, 230. Like some of these don't really fit the bill of where the majority of them are. Okay. Real easy thing you can do here is just control, select all of that column. And down here in Google Sheets, it'll show you a couple different things. It'll show you max, average. The sum doesn't matter here, right? So if there's the average across all these is 36,000. So like obviously 150,000 properties don't make sense, right? So you're going to ignore some of those. This is a zip code actually Alec and I ended up cutting out because he described it as hood, call it whatever you guys want. Some of you guys are looking for this stuff, but this is one of those, like, what would you say, Alec? Like, is this a D class or C class? I mean, it's a lower class area, probably a D in your side. So if you guys are, so that's a D area for him. So if you guys are targeting that kind of stuff, these are easy ones to look for. But does this make sense, guys, on the numbers that I'm sending to you? So yeah, Alex is saying war zone on this stuff. So he ended up cutting this out. This was in his list of hot zip codes, right? So if you look at like, there a ton of activity happening, this zip code may come up, but it may be war zone stuff that, could you move it? Maybe, but like, it's going to be hard for you to make a big assignment fee. Some of you guys are out there trying to target 20K assignment fees. You're not going to do it when, the low sales here are 11 and the average is at 36, right? And then as we look to the high, if we ignore the 248, those highs at like 90, 80, but a lot of them you see in the 60s, right? 67. So see how this looks? So immediately by doing this, we said, okay, that's not a zip code we want, okay? So once again, this is where the filters are really, 4K assignment areas is what he's calling this area, right? So immediately we're gonna select all again here in this filter, and we're gonna now remove that one. So we want everything but that 64132, okay? So we remove it, we go back up to the top, we're gonna start again. Same exact thing we just did, right? It's all already sorted by that market total value. So now we just come down the list and look again. And guys, you could do this for a county, right? You could take a whole county, download the whole file. Would that help if I showed you guys that from a whole county? So starting at a larger or a city, state, or whatever it is, let me know in the chat. And I'll look at that in a second. But what we did was just came in here again and said, okay, let's come down and look at what's the next zip code that pops out at us. Look at 64134. What you're also going to see is as you scan it, you say, okay, 64134 is popping up a lot here. Here's an owner who bought what looks like a bunch of them. Okay, so there's one. 64134 is still looking boat, same owner. 134, 134. So we landed pretty quickly on like, okay, let's just look at that one. 64134. Okay, so 64134. Again, let's look at this whole list. So we've got a low of 10,000, a bunch at like that 23 to 33,000, 40s. We've got a bunch of that. VB1, I know this name. They buy a lot in the Midwest, so like 42,000. So that may be finished product stuff they're buying there, maybe, or they may be putting money into it. We don't really know, right? But if we come down to the end of this, we see, okay, 130s, 127. So we see some higher amounts, right? Here's what starts to get cool as you guys explore this file. You say lots of funds, right? So they're either buying them and holding on to them, or they're buying them, putting money into them and selling them. So look, we get the seller name on all these sales, right? So do we see some of these funds that are popping up as buyers? This is one of them. Do we see them popping up here in the seller column? Right. The other thing you can do is this, guys. Again, sorting. Now that we're on one zip code, let's go sort this actually by that seller one full name. Seller one full name. Okay, so let's sort it by seller one full name and look who's selling and who they're selling to. Okay, some of the stuff is going to be internal fund stuff, right? So like you start to see this going. Okay, just look at these LLCs in here. Let's see, rental investments. Okay, look at that. CNC Rental Investments LLC selling to somebody there. Okay, community investment selling to. So this is how you pick up like who the flippers are, because you'll see an LLC here selling it to an individual. These guys are flipping, see double J, they're flipping out to funds, right? EJW, properties. Look at all these selling out to what's clearly a fund in BB1. You guys are always like, who's selling to the hedge funds? Well, look at that. You see this on the screen? A lot of funds operating in his area, hedge funds and big buyers, right? So once you identify who they are, you can see who's selling to them. Here are the flippers, Hill Properties. That's one, right? Because they sold the VB1, JAC Property LLC sold the VB1. So you can see who these guys are and start to see what they're buying at, what they're selling for. Key Largo Property sold over there, okay? So let's now look, again, did everybody follow that? I sorted there by the seller one name. And you start to see who's in both. Okay, so let's go back and sort again by that market value field, market total value. While I'm doing this, if you guys, you said you wanted to see me do this with the county or city state, send it over to me real quick. If we have time, I'll do it. If not, we may have to hop on something custom. Really what I want you guys to do is, I told Alec this too, and Alec, please chime in here because you're the perfect example of like, just listen to me, trust me, guys. You got to hop in here and do this yourself, because if I do it for you, you're going to miss out on a lot of this stuff that like, it gives you amazing knowledge in your marketplace for what's happening. You have to hop in here and play with these files. And then if you need help, reach out to me. We can do it together. You send me a video of you doing it and I can kind of tell you where you're going wrong. But you have to start to play with this, because as you do, you start to explore like, okay, where are the values? Where are the areas I can pick stuff up? Who are the buyers buying it at the highest amounts? You know, up here, are they investment houses? Are they individuals? This is a great area, right? Because this is a heavy investment area. So a lot of this stuff is never having to go through MLS. It's going from the wholesale market. Yes, this can be done anywhere. This is going through the wholesale market to funds, right? To these big buying entities that are able to do this. So you start to see a lot of this activity here. This is a good area. This is why we targeted this, because he wanted to find a bunch of, this is just the last year, guys, keep in mind here on screen. This is corporate buyers over the last year, which means these are the active investors in the area. What you're trying to find out is there's a lot of different seats in the active investment game, right? Wholesalers, marketers, lead gen data, just like, you know, me, plus wholesale seat, plus rehab seat, flip seat, plus the buy and hold seat, you know, all these different, plus the retail buyer, there's all these different seats. So this is exactly what you're trying to figure out in here, okay? It's 3:30. I really could do this all day long. You guys couldn't tell, but I'm trying to give you like enough insight on the data without having to be a data expert and without getting lost and frustrated in Excel. I know that could be frustrating, guys. One of the reasons I had you do this, and I want you to do this in Sheets and get used to it, is because you can share it, right? So like I come in here, I name it, now I share it with whoever I want. You can share that with me and say, hey, Peter, when you get a chance, could you help me out? Here's the issue I'm having, or send me a video and say, you know, whatever the case is. This is a very, very big tool to figure out what's going on in your market.